Would anybody else like to address the committee?
Greg Neitzert, Sioux Falls. I'm just here as a private citizen who's been interested in this for a while. I don't have a vested interest. I actually only have, I'm in a new development, so I only have turf grass, but that's living on a local. We don't have a lot of problems with it. Did live on a emergency snow route, and that was a much different animal. So I'll try not to cover things other people have already covered, but I guess the first thing I would say is, and I know you'll do this, let's start with the spirit of serving our citizens and honoring the pride they take in beautifying their boulevard. Let's not overcomplicate this. Whatever you do, I expect that you will expect it will be enforced. So the more stringent you make it, the more people you're going to put into non-compliance, and that's a very nice way of saying that you're going to have people who are going to have enforcement action taken on them, and with that comes civil fines and penalties and essentially making them criminals. And we got to be very careful about doing that. There's really only two issues I think that come up, and that's public safety and utilities. So for utilities, as I've said before, I think we just need to ask Public Works and the private utilities what doesn't work. So I'm thinking they're going to say permanent installations of concrete and asphalt are not going to work. I'm not sure much else won't work. There might be some things like pea gravel, things like that that are going to be so small they're going to wash into the storm sewer. But let's ask the people that deal with it and need to know. I'd say let's not focus on what is allowed and get into the minutia of, flowers are allowed and Russian sage is allowed, but Carl Forester isn't. And let's just talk about what isn't allowed and make that a very small list. Let's let people be creative within reason. So as far as public safety, I think essentially we're talking about height. And then there's fire hydrants too, but really height. And I think we can come up with a reasonable number. I mean, I've heard 3 feet thrown out. It should be something reasonable when you think about all of the other things that are in the boulevard. And then as Bruce had measuring from a uniform position, such as the crown of the street. Remembering that we also have trees, mailboxes, and other things in the right-of-way right now. And maybe the big thing to focus on is this isn't a new problem, if you want to call it a problem. We have hundreds of properties that are not in compliance right now, and I'm not aware of any accidents or problems already. So we have to be careful about, I guess I would maybe say, solving a problem that doesn't exist. Now, I totally agree. We shouldn't have something on the books that we're not enforcing. That needs to be addressed. But I guess I'm just saying let's be careful not to go overboard on the public safety issue. And I guess finally I would say when I look at what the city is doing downtown, which is beautiful, and then when I look at the reconstructions of arterials, and I've had discussions with Public Works and engineering about what they're thinking about when they do this. When I look at stretches of Russell down by the arena, and then I look close to me at 41st Street going from Sertoma to TLS Road, I see beautiful, beautiful work in the medians, as an example. And you see lots of mixtures of perennials and all these things that we're talking about. And then you see the splash blocks, which helps with protecting the grasses and the other living ground cover from all the salts. And so there's a lot of diversity that they're using in the medians. And so, we could do a lot the same with the boulevard. So I guess what I'm getting at is let's honor what people are doing. They take a lot of pride in what they're doing. And let's just make it a short list. Let's not overcomplicate it. And let's keep it simple. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg.